Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of First Look Final Word, podcast where we take you along to see a movie with us. I'm Pete.
And I'm Trevor. What's going on, you evil penguins?
Nice.
Welcome to the podcast.
Yes, it's Wallace and Gromit Day today. We've been talking a lot about Wallace and Gromit, and this one's going to be all Wallace and Gromit pretty much, or all Aardman, I should say.
Yeah, we are week 2 into our ongoing project to watch every single Aardman short and feature-length film, and this week is the week it really pays off, I think.
Yeah. Last week was it was a kind of strange talking about Nosferatu and then Aardman shorts, but
I think it worked.
I think it worked pretty well. Like going back to those weird shots.
Certainly set the tone for it to be unnerved, I would say.
Yeah, very true.
But with these projects, I don't know if we're ever going to get a better lining up than we did this week, where we're talking about the Wrong Trousers era of Aardman,
right?
And then we're talking about like the only sequel really that like direct sequel in Wallace and Gromit.
Yeah, I guess so, right?
Vengeance Most Fowl, because every Wallace and Gromit short, they all sort of like reference each other.
Yeah,
a little bit.
It's all the same sort of timeline.
But this is a direct sequel.
But yeah, you don't bring characters back, do they?
No, yeah. Well, we'll also be talking about Close Shave today, which is the introduction of Shaun the Sheep.
Exactly.
But he's never returned to the universe, right?
I think
he
he's
just
in
spun off.
Some of the TV stuff they did, the little like.
Okay, I haven't seen that stuff yet.
And stuff. I think he shows up in some of those, but to your point, he's not been in any of the others.
When I was looking at what the schedule might be, I thought, take a look at some of the TV shows. Is it possible for us to watch like some of the TV shows for this too? And like the Shaun the Sheep show has like 180 episodes.
Yeah, that's like a proper kid show. Right? It's I don't think that really counts. I'm
going
to say it doesn't count.
So like it does seem kind of arbitrary that we're kind of just focusing on what they call films or whatever, because some of these films that are on the list are obviously just like TV shows that haven't been fully developed yet.
Yeah, or even just like segments that were in TV shows. I know we've not really got into Morph and stuff like that, but I mean some of this stuff I think.
Morph didn't make their official list for filmography because he's been in like shows and stuff, right?
Just all inserted into shows.
A lot of the things that they end up calling short films are things that didn't find homes.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good way to describe it, right? It's just stuff that they made that never really went anywhere or got put out. That's all.
Yeah, I don't know if we want to get into it quite yet, but there's some rough shorts this week on that list.
Yeah, like they do some crazy stuff, man. Like I was not aware of like a lot of the stuff they did, as we talked about last week. But
I'm glad I didn't watch all of them with my kids because there's very few of the shorts that I think it would be appropriate for them to watch.
I know, right? I tried to turn one off. They came in and I was watching one, and I was like, I don't trust this not to just go south real quick.
Yeah,
so I'm gonna turn this off. All right, so where do we want to start?
Well, so why don't we start with because the wrong Trousers, I think, is most people's favorite. I know you have a very special history with it. Did you want to unpack that a little bit?
It's just because it's the best one.
So how did you first see it?
I can't remember how I first saw it. Like in England, Wallace and Gromit got a lot of play on TV. Like it would get played a lot, like at Christmas time or something like that. They'd always put the Aardman shorts on. So I'm sure I remember seeing it on TV a lot when I was a kid, and I didn't like. That was before DVDs even, so it's like I didn't have it on VHS or anything, so I just know that they played it a lot on TV, put it that way.
Well, I know like before we started doing these watch throughs, like I had some exposure to Wallace and Gromit, but I think I thought the catalog was bigger.
Yeah, exactly. It does seem that way, right? But I mean, what is there, like 3 shorts and
there's like
a couple of
4 shorts, a couple features, and like some appearances in commercials and stuff like that. Like,
well, I think it's just because it took so long to do as well, and they were a pretty small company when they started, right? So I think they just they weren't pumping them out.
Yeah,
they weren't able to, right? It's impossible to do it that quick.
For sure, I'm just fascinated by like their cultural impact in the UK, despite not having that huge catalog.
But I think it was, like I say, I think it was one of those things where they would just hammer it. Like they'd always be able to see it. Like like on rotation, you'd be like, Wallace and Gromit's on, Wrong Trousers is on again.
So was it like it's an event? Like it's coming on at Sunday at 8. Everyone's gotta come and watch it.
What? I don't remember. I don't remember it that well. That's why I'm trying. That's why I think it must. I don't think it wasn't like, because I think like a similar thing would be like Rankin and Bass over here, I guess, which didn't really cross the pond. Like I didn't grow up with any of that stuff with Rudolph and stuff.
That stuff, but that was like all seasonal. Like
yeah, that's right. Yeah, to be fair, that was all seasonal, and that was like it was like you'd watch it at Christmas when they showed it that once a year.
I know, but for that, like they would announce Rudolph is coming on
they
TV.
show it once, right, for the year or whatever.
And you have to make sure to catch it.
No, I don't remember it being that way, where it was like, oh, we've got this one opportunity to watch The Wrong Trousers is going to be on, and then we're going to be done. I think it was just like they would, every time there was an opportunity, they would put it on. And because to your point, it felt like there was tons of Wallace and Gromit when you're growing up, but really, I mean...
It's maybe in total like, 6 hours of content.
Yeah.
Right?
And really, when I think about it, it's really just The Wrong Trousers. I remember just watching that so many times.
Did you ever, what was the physical media for Wallace and Gromit stuff?
That's what I mean. It was just TV. It was just broadcast.
Okay.
I didn't have any physical media of Wallace and Gromit, ever. It was just all... It would just be on TV.
Right. But you're never hurting for Wallace and Gromit, I guess.
No, and it was just such a British institution. As I say, they had their hands in commercials and they were on TV shows doing spots and stuff. So it was just any opportunity they just put it on. If it was kids' TV, it'd be like, oh, now here's Wallace and Gromit. It's only 15 minutes or not even.
Yeah, well, I mentioned on our last episode that my first exposure, I think, was at the Oscars when they're showing clips for Were Rabbit. And then a few years later,
What is this?
a few years later, I did I've heard of The Wrong Trousers and the reputation it had. And then I saw a clip of the train sequence, which I think is maybe the best animated sequence of all time.
It is. I can't argue with that. It's just amazing.
Like Gromit filling in the tracks as they're going along. It's just breathtaking.
It's so
animation.
Well done. It's so well done.
Everything's just humming along there. Yeah. It's perfect. And I think it was years after I had watched that several times that I actually had seen the full short.
Yeah. I'd even go out on a limb and say I don't think they've ever hit the heights of The Wrong Trousers. So I'm excited for this one. I haven't really been looking at the buzz around it and stuff, but I've not seen anything negative. So I'm hoping. And I've got a statement to make, and tell me what you think of this, because the reason why Wrong Trousers is my favorite is because I think it's perfect for Aardman's animation, because it's short. It's not feature length. I think we talked about that. Maybe we didn't talk about it last week, but I don't know if feature length is the best medium for Wallace and Gromit, and also I think it works perfectly because the antagonist and the main protagonist don't say anything. Well, it's like a silent movie, mostly, with Wallace sticking around in the background.
This is the last Wallace and Gromit thing where the only human basically is Wallace.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Everything they've done after this, they've crammed with quite a lot of.
There's always a love interest after this.
Always a love interest. Always more people cropping up, which, I mean, I'm not saying I don't like those movies. I love everything with Wallace and Gromit, but I think this is just works perfectly because it's all in the animation. It's not like people trying to crack jokes constantly. It's all built into the animation and the visuals and the sight gags. I just think it's amazing.
There's something special too about sophomore efforts where after the first one you're kind of still figuring out what the characters are. Mm-hmm. This one, Wallace and Gromit are fully realized as characters.
Exactly.
And, they haven't matured enough in the culture so that then you're just trying to give people more of what they want. So I think it's fair to say this is the peak and nothing quite hit there yet. I've seen basically most of Wallace and Gromit now up until this movie. But it's okay that it never hit these highs again, because this is A++.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Here.
I agree. It's this is God tier level stuff, and then the rest of it's just really great. It's funny as well though, because one of the things I always associate with Wallace and Gromit is that what's their job in this one? They've got a new job in this movie, but that wasn't really the case for Wrong Trousers or A Grand Day Out. It was more just them doing stuff.
Well, Wrong Trousers starts off by he just gets bills and he's like, oh, I'm a little worried
Like,
about
I guess
this.
I guess I should get a job. I guess it's like I guess it's like the origin story of why they keep trying to get businesses off the ground.
It's like all these inventions are kind of adding up.
Yeah, his inventions don't make any money. They don't want to take in any more renters after the experience in the wrong trousers. So they're like, we'll just start doing businesses.
It's funny that the two different areas that Wallace thinks to make money is one just like letting a room for what, £20 a week.
Yeah,
It's such a funny amount of money. Which I have to assume
solve all these bill
even in the
problems.
early 90s, it's not a lot of
It's
money.
funny when he's like, oh, we've got bills to pay, and he's just like got his piggy bank out and he's got like pennies in it. It's like, how is this guy alive?
And then after this, it's just like, pretty like, low paying jobs when he could be an engineer. Like he's a pretty smart guy.
It's interesting like how he funds all these businesses, right? Like he must have some serious loan debts. Like, how are you building all these machines and starting up all these businesses?
He must have a trust of some kind or something.
Yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe he's an eccentric like millionaire from his family.
Yeah. I definitely thought like Gromit's character is sort of fully realized in this one.
Yeah,
where
this is where they got that.
I said before, like in the first one, like he's really just a sidekick, and he's just there to like to roll his eyes.
Grande out, but it is rough. It is a bit rough. They were finding their feet with that one for sure. But like they knew they were onto something with those characters, and then like to your point, they're fully realized by this one.
What I love about Gromit is how much he loves Wallace. Like it's so
Right?
it's so sweet, and he's always so hurt when Wallace does something to hurt his feelings and like is not
He
considerate.
thinks he's forgot his birthday. He's so sad.
Like, and I'm so happy that he didn't actually forget it was his birthday.
got him the
He
worst
just like
present.
wasn't mentioning it for whatever reason when he first came down.
Yeah.
But then like he's just like totally overlooking him for the penguin, and then it's
so
love
sad.
interest after love interest, and like Gromit just keeps taking him back, and I don't know why he does it.
He gets sidelined every movie.
But his feelings get so hurt, like he loves him so much.
Right? Oh, did we just discover that he's like in an abusive relationship with Wallace?
maybe not abusive, but certainly like neglectful. Like,
Right.
Wallace doesn't know how lucky he is.
No, that's very true. Like,
because he would be dead if it wasn't for
many times over.
And I think I'm being a little influenced by my daughter here because she's so upset.
Yeah, she doesn't like the way
she's
that
so
Wallace
upset
treats
Wallace
Gromit.
is just like not treating Gromit properly.
Yeah.
All right, so anything else on? Oh, I guess we got to talk about the antagonist of Wrong Trousers.
Right, for sure.
Just
right?
iconic.
McGraw. Yeah, so it's the amazing reveal where he puts the rubber glove on his head. It's just so funny.
It's treated so seriously too.
And that's why it works so well. He's treated like he's such a dangerous criminal. Like I think one of my favorite scenes in all of Wallace and Gromit is when Wallace confronts him and he's got the rolling pin.
Oh yeah,
And he pulls the gun out and immediately drops the rolling pin. That's such a great shot, man. Like, oh, okay, yeah, you got a gun. It's like, why does this penguin have a gun?
I love when he makes Wallace get into like the armoire and he's like, I'm gonna call my solicitor. Like,
There's so many good bits in The Wrong Trousers. I know that we're supposed to be talking about all the shorts, but yeah, The Wrong Trousers is they're so great.
okay, well maybe we can move on to A Close Shave, which this is my first time ever having seen it.
Oh, really? What did you think of it as a late comer to Wallace and Gromit?
Honestly, like all the Wallace and Gromit stuff is at least like A tier level stuff. Like
yeah.
At least 5.5 out of 6.5 stars to return to our 6.5 star system.
Right.
And like, Wrong Trousers is kind of like perfect masterpiece, but nothing really dips like below that A tier level.
No,
like
I would
even
agree.
Grand Day Out, like I absolutely love.
Yeah. No.
This one I really liked the Shaun the Sheep character. I thought he was an interesting guy. They should do more with him.
It's funny because I don't know if they knew how well that character would be received.
I think it's the shivering that he does because he's cold.
Because there wasn't a plan to like push Shaun the Sheep. He was just
No.
he was just a character in the short.
Yeah.
And then they were like, oh, people like this Shaun the Sheep, and now he's like, got what, like
He's huge,
got
yeah.
100 like multi-season TV show and a couple of movies, and like he's so popular. I think he's arguably more popular than Wallace and Gromit with
Internationally,
with a certain generation as well, right? Like the generation younger than us. I think they grew up with Shaun
What do
the
your
Sheep.
kids think? Do they like Wallace and Gromit better?
Yeah, they've never really. That's probably just because of my influence, though. Like they've never been exposed to Shaun the Sheep as much.
Well, I was trying to put on The Flight Before Christmas this year, and my daughter was kind of like pushing back on it because she doesn't really love Shaun the Sheep, but I eventually got them to do it, and they liked it. Spoiler alert, but
Yeah, I think I tried to watch Farmageddon with them, and I think they were fine with it, but it's not like they've not asked to watch it again.
I do love for those, the Shaun the Sheep projects, like how much they reference movies and stuff.
they
and
do
like Wallace and
such a
Gromit
great-
does that too,
yeah,
but
they
this
do
one is
such
just
a great
absolutely
job.
overload.
Yeah, that's the one great thing about the Aardman movies and Wallace and Gromit especially, is that they're so good at like putting those references in and just like slight winks and nods to different things. Like one of my favorite, and I think this is in A Matter of Loaf and Death, so we'll save this for that episode. But when they reference the Batman bot getting rid of a bomb,
Oh yeah.
stuff like that, I just love. We'll save that for a different episode.
Well, I do like in this one, I like that they have a job that they have to go out and do and stuff like that. Like
Right.
I like that in each of the subsequent ones they have a different job that they're doing. Like they're window washers this one, then they're bakers, and then
I love how they're
pest
window
control.
washers, they go.
It's just
to
a bungee.
They go to wash the window, and Wallace does absolutely nothing.
No.
And Gromit is doing the whole thing.
He's the idea
and
man.
then they go back to the same place to wash the windows the very next day. So either they suck at washing windows, or I don't know what's going on with those windows. But it's just stuff like that I find funny.
And what's the name of the dog antagonist from this one?
Oh, I can't remember
It's not
now.
Spike, is it?
I can't remember what his name is now. We'll have to do some live Googling. Yeah, because we're not in a car this week. We didn't mention, but we're not like driving to watch a Netflix show. So we're just hanging out. So
We're watching Vengeance Most Fowl here.
We have
so.
access to technology. Preston, that's it.
And yeah,
yes.
he like compulsively puts his names on all the products and all the buildings and stuff. It's very interesting.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And this is the second of 3 shorts so far that have like, a bad robot.
Very true. Yeah, very true, actually.
And I guess that's like a recurring theme throughout Wallace and Gromit, is just like technology run amok a little
Yeah.
bit. Though it's not like super interested in that, but
No, but it's more like trying to use technology for good and it going wrong and becoming not great.
Yeah.
Being a problem, yeah, for sure.
was a really good like conveyor belt scene from this
Yes.
one. Is that referencing something, or is like, because I've seen like a lot of stuff.
Yeah, like them when they get into the car and go out and it flips upside and the pond flips upside down, that kind of stuff.
No, I was.
Or do you mean like the Rube Goldberg thing?
I was meaning when like, towards the climax when like the conveyor belt's on in the dog food
the
factory.
conveyor belt thing. Yes. Like a
Is
like a Temple of Doom type thing, maybe.
Oh, I guess it is sort of Temple of Doom.
Yeah, I
but
think there's a few things that do that kind of thing, though, right? Like.
well, I was wondering if this movie was referencing something else, or
That's what
yeah,
I mean.
Temple of Doom does do that sort of thing.
Temple of Doom was what came to my mind, but I think it has been done quite a lot. Like the whole stuck on a. I think they did it James Bond, didn't they? Which was the James Bond where it was in? That was probably more what it was referencing. One of the Bonds, I remember there's a big scene where they're on a conveyor belt like that.
Well, there's a.
I can't remember which one it is. We'll have to do a Bond series.
That'd take a long time, but I'd be up for it.
I'd be up for that too.
There was like in Goldfinger, it's like it's a laser that's slowly moving up towards his crotch, but he's not on a conveyor belt.
No, it was one of the later ones. I'm pretty sure. I can't remember. I remember it being. It was in like a warehouse, and I can't remember which one it was now. But I'm like, maybe I'm way off base, but I'm pretty sure that there's a Bond scene where there's a conveyor, and he's fighting a henchman on a conveyor belt.
Huh. Okay. It's not ringing a bell right now, but
I might be off, but I'm pretty sure it's Bond.
Bond next series?
Yeah,
Well, maybe
I
we'll-
did a whole. Me and my wife did a whole Bond, like start to finish, watch years and years ago.
I've done it a few times.
That's why, like, I remember stuff, and I'm like, I've no idea which one it is though. They just all blend together for me at a certain point.
I get the Roger Moore's is confused. But
Yeah,
maybe we shouldn't go
definitely.
so British with our next one.
Right, we'll just do all British.
Just
stuff
all the big
time.
British institutions in there.
Right. Anyway, back to Aardman. I thought when you were talking, I thought you were mentioning about the when they get flipped out of bed into the slides and into the car. That was I always.
But that was from the wrong trousers too. They did.
Yeah. Did they do that in the wrong trousers? Like
Because he falls in the wrong trousers.
Yeah, but it's just like dropping him out of bed into the kitchen table for breakfast, right?
Yeah. It's not. It's not
more
as
like them
elaborate.
getting into the vehicle, then flying out, and the pond flipping over. Like that was very like Thunderbirds. I don't know if you had Thunderbirds traveled over here either, but
Like I know of Thunderbirds.
that was huge. It was huge when I was growing up in England. The marionettes were a big thing there for a hot minute.
Well, when I went to Weta, when I was in New Zealand, they had like a big Thunderbirds set that they walked everybody through. It was
Nice.
pretty interesting.
Yeah, I loved Thunderbirds when I was a kid. Still do, actually. I think it's amazing in terms of
I'll check it out.
Animation. Is that animation? Marionettes? Would you call it animation? I guess. What category would you put marionettes in? Puppetry?
It's a great. Yeah, I guess puppetry is its own thing. I guess.
Yeah, because there was Thunderbirds. There was a few others. Sequest. No, not Sequest. Stingray. Stingray.
I don't even know what Stingray is.
It was basically the same, but they were underwater.
Okay.
And
Yeah, it's the whole thing that's passed me
Joe
by.
90, I think that was another one. Yeah, there was but Thunderbirds, because they had a lot of that where it was like going through a slide into a thing, going into the cockpit, and then like the thing was flipping up over and they were flying out. Tracy Island, that was a huge like Christmas. Like that was the Christmas gift that kids wanted, was this Tracy Island set where all the things would flip open and they would shoot out. Anyway, getting off topic a bit, but I've not thought about Thunderbirds for a long time and just falling down a rabbit hole here, but no. Yeah.
So, what about some of the other Aardman short? Are we ready to move on from A Close Shave?
Sure, yeah, I think we've talked Wallace and Gromit enough,
I
right?
love this. I love this one though. I really did.
The Close Shave?
Yeah.
It's a great one. There's so many great bits in it.
One, so I really liked from this week, and we'll post a link to a YouTube playlist which includes all the non-Wallace and Gromit shorts.
Yeah, they're all on YouTube, right?
Wallace and Gromit, they're still holding the rights kind of close to the chest because that's the one people want to pay for.
Yeah.
So I did like Adam quite a bit.
Yeah, I
thought that was
agree.
very
That
interesting.
was a really good one. I mean, and I want to say, like, keeping with the theme of like just doing mad stuff with the shorts. Like it was just like,
Yeah.
do whatever you want. And like, I remember, I think we said on last week's episode where I was like, I in my mind, like Aardman was like, it's kid friendly, fun stuff. It's like, it's Morph. You remember Morph from all those kids art shows and Wallace and Gromit, you know, having fun adventures. And then I'm like watching these shorts. I'm like, holy crap, what is happening here? What they were talking about. Like, yeah, some of them were insane.
I thought this one was really interesting, like the relationship between, you know, stop motion animators and their creations, right? It's like,
exactly,
you know,
yeah.
them playing as God and then kind of torturing the
Right?
characters, putting them in crazy situations for their own amusement. I thought it was very funny.
The one thing
Peter
about,
Lord directed this one too.
I'm pretty sure, yeah. The one thing about these shorts that I wasn't expecting is way more plasticine penises than I thought I would see.
Yeah.
I mean, it was only 2 to be fair, but that's still 2 more than I expected.
Yeah, if I had a nickel for...
Yeah, it's still a lot, right?
Well, I guess I skipped over the Rex the Runt thing.
You know what? I wanted to mention Rex the Runt because I have memories of Rex the Runt. I remember the theme song specifically, that Rex the Runt, Rex the Runt.
Yeah, this is my first exposure.
But
to
I watched the 2 that we have on that playlist, and I don't remember them because they're so insane.
They're fucking crazy,
'Cause
man.
I remember the theme song, and I knew Rex the Runt, and I heard the theme song, and I can't remember watching that when I was a kid. And then I watched it, and I was like, I did not watch this when I was a kid, but I think they did more later on.
Yeah, I think this was like proof of
Yeah,
concept
and it's
stuff.
like the pilot stuff, right? So
and
I think
it's very surreal and
crazy.
absurd and
so weird. It's like
very adult.
like not for kids at all.
like how the dinosaurs went extinct just like got fucking shot.
But like, it's like Rex the Road's girlfriend with like the plasticine, the flat plasticine dog with massive protruding boobs. It's just like, what is going on? But no, yeah,
It definitely awakened something in some
right.
someone.
But no, I do remember Rex the Road. So I feel like maybe they did more of those later on, made them a bit more kid friendly.
And then so there are two shorts here and both like the descriptions on YouTube say like they are like, you know, almost like lost, like not very well seen.
Yeah.
I think they're both like just so random and not like not fitting in with like any kind of Aardman style we've seen before.
That's
like
what I read. It's like they just wanted to animate stuff and they didn't really care what it was. They just like, hey, you, what do you do? It's like, let's just do this random thing.
Well, I think Never Say Pink Furry Die. I did not like at all.
I had no idea what that was about. That was like a fever dream, like acid trip.
But like you're right, but not even a good one.
No,
like I think the animation was
like a
bad.
trip. It was a bad trip. It wasn't good, right? Like it was, especially because this was the period where they really had the animation nailed down. They were doing really good work.
Yeah, this is almost the worst animation I've seen them have. Like including like Rex the Runt in there, which is kind of purposely bad.
Right? Like that's what I mean. This one just like, it was like almost like unfinished or rushed or something. It was like,
yeah, like, well, it's just not smooth at all. And honestly, like, it looks a lot like other just random stop motion stuff that you'll see. Like, there's nothing distinct or memorable about it.
It just looks like somebody who was very unpolished, just like having a crack at it.
Well, and, like, this came out in 92. Like, it honestly seems like if you told me it came out in 82, like, it seems a decade late already. The Loves Me Not one I liked a little bit better, but it still was like,
that like got steadily and steadily more crazy. That was the one with
a noose around his neck.
That was the one with the full-on penis in it as well, right?
Yeah, it's not like the Adam one where it's just like a little.
Exactly. The Adam one, you don't even notice it unless like you really look.
Yeah, that was an artful penis.
Yeah, it was just like, because he has one. But this one was like, no, it's in your face. Someone spent time crafting that out of plasticine.
Now, I did like Not Without My Handbag.
That was the one where my kids walked in.
Okay.
So I was like, it's not too bad because it's not like okay, they'd walked in on the Loves Me Not. That would have been a bit worse. But like this one, they were like, "What's going on here?" And I was like, "Oh, don't like this woman's dead." And she's like, "I'm a zombie." And
I think like this one, like it was well done. I would say like visually creative. I think it owed a lot to like Tim Burton and Henry Selick type animation.
That's a definite good shout because even just with the design, right?
And honestly, it seemed a little bit like the Simpsons episode about Homer going to hell. Like the devil there reminded me of Ned Flanders as the devil. I don't know which one came out first. Like probably this one.
Yeah, he's saying that. It reminded me a lot of the devil from Futurama, the robot devil.
Some great episodes with the robot devil. Like
it's amazing.
The devil's hands are idle playthings, which is like the original finale.
Yeah, that was great. I remember my youngest son was watching it. He's like, "This is the third show I've seen that's got the devil in it." And I was like, "What else have you been watching that's got the devil in it?" I can't remember one of them, but he's been watching a lot of Cuphead. You ever seen Cuphead?
No.
It's really good. It was a game, the video game Cuphead. I don't know if you've ever played it.
No.
It's like that old, almost like early Disney style animation, like Steamboat Willie style animation. But it's like a 2D side-scrolling like shoot 'em up basically. But you play as like an animated cup man. So like,
it looks just like Mickey Mouse. No, I've never seen this before.
No, aesthetically, it's like really beautiful, and the game is like incredibly hard. It's just like super difficult, but like the animation was so well done. So
do you have to catch things in your cup?
No.
Okay.
They like shoot finger guns. It's just like it's a regular describe. But there's a TV show on Netflix, and it's really good actually. It's like wacky, but there's a devil character in it who's a big character in that. And it kind of gave me those vibes a little bit in that handbag episode.
Maybe Cuphead we're going through next.
It's good, man. Give it a go. Kids might like it. He's just like really dumb, when he just goes on adventures, and he's like, I don't know if it's I think it's his brother. He's called Mugman. It's just basically the same, just a slightly different cup.
I'm already a fan.
Because if you could play, I'll say you can play 2-player on the game, right? Cuphead and Mugman.
And so the last one is Pib and Pog.
Pib and Pog, yeah. You didn't. I don't think you got a chance to watch that one, right?
No, this one I still have to catch up on.
It's pretty funny because it's kind of like a send up on those kid shows where it's like, this is Pib, this is Pop, and they're like, they're going on an adventure, and so it's just basically that, but a bit more like violent, like they just like trying to kill each other.
Okay.
Yeah, it just like escalates, right? So it's like, oh, what have you got there? It's like, oh, I've got a seashell. And then like he puts it on his head as like a joke, but it's like, oh, he can't breathe, he's gonna die. And it escalates to like he brings in a gun and just literally shoots him through the stomach.
Okay.
And then
So don't watch that one with the kids.
There's a really funny bit though where it's like he drags in a bucket that's got like a skull and crossbones on it, it's like hissing, and he's like, what have you got there, Pib? And he's like got it behind his butt. He's like, Pop wants to see what you've got. And he's like, and he's like, what is it? And then Pop puts his head in it and he just starts fizzing. And then when the woman narrates, like a plummy British woman, and she's like, oh, it's concentrated sulfuric acid. And he like melts his face off. But it's not like the other Aardman shorts where it's like super gruesome. It's just like kid stuff. So he just like puts his face back together with plasticine parts, like Mr.
That sounds really interesting. Okay, I gotta watch that one post haste then.
The funny thing about it is though, right at the end, the director calls cut, and then the Pip and Pop characters turn into like plummy old British actors and like, oh, great show, lovey.
That's very Roger Rabbit.
Yeah, he's like, I bet one of them says, I bet Morph doesn't have to put up with this. So it made me laugh a little bit.
All right, maybe we'll watch it right after Vengeance Most Fowl.
It was all right. It was, and the animation was pretty good. I mean, it's going for that like kids show. Like,
right.
You've seen this kids show many times, so it's basically it's doing that, sort of taking the mick out of that bit.
Well, should we press play on this?
Yeah, I guess
this
we
venture
should.
Here.
We
So
can't just rattle on all night here. We got a movie to watch.
if you guys are new to the pod, Pete and I are going to watch Wallace and Gromit, Vengeance Most Fowl, and then hop right back on and give you immediate reactions to the movie we saw. Spoiler free at first, then give you plenty of warning before we go into spoiler talk.
Yeah, my kids think it's hilarious the way they do the titles for these, where it's Wallace and Gromit in,
Right.
and then they throw the title up. I don't know why, but they think that's hilarious.
It's very dramatic, I guess. Yeah.
It's like, my kid was like, do you remember what it just said in? I was like, yeah, I remember. And then it said the title after that.
It is kind of old fashioned.
Yeah,
right?
it's very old fashioned. It's like a bit of a throwback, the way they structure it.
So next week we'll be doing The Thing and The Fly as a double feature, and then we're going to be talking about Aardman's first feature-length film, Chicken Run. So make sure to watch that one, and if you're
a big jump to
if you're watching along with us, and then if you're going to duck out now, make sure to come back once you've seen Vengeance Most Fowl.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to digging into this one. I've managed to avoid it thus far. My kids have seen it a few times, I think. So.
I know I can't avoid it any longer either. So we gotta press play here.
It's not going to be the first time I'm going to watch it, I don't think.
Yeah, same.
Oh, the only time I should say. It's definitely the first time. Anyway, let's get to it.
Wish us luck, everybody.
All right, don't go anywhere, guys. Welcome back, everyone. We just sat through the credits of Vengeance Most Fowl, just to see if there was a post-credit scene. There isn't, by the way.
There's no that's actually good value add.
Maybe we should start doing that. No, but yeah, we did it. We got through the latest Wallace and Gromit adventure.
Yeah, well, I think we forgot to mention this, but the first Wallace and Gromit feature-length movie in 20 years, right? And only the second in total. Yeah,
and the first one we didn't talk about either, to not have Peter Sallis doing the voice.
Yeah, he passed away like 5 years ago or so.
Yeah,
right?
which I thought he did a great job. What was his name? Ben Whitehead, I think it was.
Yeah,
who took over.
I noticed it a bit at the beginning, but then I got used to it.
Oh, really? Because it was different for me. Because I didn't know I didn't even think about it at all. And then I remembered like 10 minutes in.
Well,
and then I was listening more for it, and there was a couple of little bits where I was like, "That doesn't sound quite right." But I thought he was really good at it. A really great performance, actually.
Yeah, like I was just reading up on Peter Sallis today, so like I
wasn't looking for it. I don't know. It wasn't in my mind. But then I remembered, and I was like, oh, it's not actually him, is it? And then I was like, you know what? Then I was really out of my ear out for it, and I thought, you know what? It sounds pretty damn good to me. It sounds pretty damn close.
Well, I was checking all of his credits, and it's all Aardman stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Like he's just like a company man.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's good to have that kind of stability as an actor. Like,
yeah, well, I don't know if he was even like a proper actor, was he? I feel like he just like we need someone
Looks
to do
like just
we need
voice
someone to
acting
do the
stuff.
Wallace voice. He was just like, all right, I'll do that. I'm Northern English. Can pull that.
yeah, there's always a spot of work for a guy who can sound like Wallace.
You're right. Apparently, every 20 years you get a job. Yeah, we should get into what we thought of it, though, eh?
Well, I'll go first this week.
right.
I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah.
Like I was laughing the whole time basically. Like I don't know where this would rank amongst the other works, but I certainly had a great time. I think there's some new characters in this that I think are kind of a welcome bit to the canon.
Yeah, I totally agree. I thought it was really well done. I think it was. I feel like they just know how to do Wallace and Gromit now.
Yeah.
and they're not. And I really love the fact that they're not like, oh well, we really need to like push them in any direction or change it up. It's like, nope, we're just gonna do the same thing with a different story, and we're gonna hit all the same beats, and that's all anyone wants to see. And don't mess with it.
Well, it is like because this movie was basically the wrong trousers, just like
revamped,
longer.
Yeah, pretty much, right.
Again, yeah, like hitting a lot of the same like thematic beats of other ones. Like we were just talking about like malicious robots and stuff like that, right?
Exactly. A lot of typical like Wallace and Gromit themes. Like they even like still trying to find a job to pay the bills that will work for him. Using Wallace's inventions to try and help, and you still got the button to press for breakfast every day. It's slightly different, like in every movie, but it's pretty much the same.
He's just sitting in bed, just like eagerly waiting. Like, come on, Gromit, you got to push the button. You got to wake me up.
Right. I feel like did you watch the Grinch? The animated Grinch they did a few years ago.
That's an interesting point. I
hadn't really
never
thought
made
about
that
it, but then I was
connection.
like, they totally ripped Wallace and Gromit off with that
Yeah.
dog relationship in that movie.
I honestly wasn't. That never occurred to me. But yeah, it's the
It's
exact.
the exact same thing. He has a weird invention that makes him a coffee, and he presses the button for breakfast, and the little dog brings it to him.
Oh my gosh! Yeah.
Yep. Wallace and Gromit did it. I hadn't put that together. It literally just popped into my brain. Yeah, no, but I agree with you. I agree with everything you said. I thought there was literally legitimately laugh out loud parts in this movie. It's legit hilarious.
Well, so the new character's name, I don't think it's a spoiler, right? Is the
Right.
gnome is
Yes,
Norbot.
Norbot.
And I could see someone like if you don't find that character funny,
Yeah.
I think you won't like this movie. But I found him very, very, very funny.
And we can get into that. I think maybe. Actually, it's not really a spoiler, but that was. And this is something that I just think for Wallace and Gromit in general is that I prefer the shorts for Wallace and Gromit. The feature length outings that they've done, I always feel like it just goes on a little bit too long. I almost feel like it's designed for short stories. So when they do a longer version, it's kind of just like they're pulling the taffy on it a bit and just kind of trying to bloat it. Mm-hmm. And I this one did not dissuade me of that view. Like even though it was amazing and it was hilarious, like to your point, like the new character, I felt like it was a bit like they kind of recycled the same gag about 10 times, which I didn't really mind because it was still funny every time. But there's only so many times like you need him like looking to camera and pulling a weird face, right?
I think I hear what you're saying, and like there's an optimal time for a Wallace and Gromit. I think
so.
After kind of going through all of them, this past month, I probably agree with that. On Norbot especially,
Yeah.
I think like what a great character introduction. that first sequence of him, I think I was laughing the entire time.
Yeah, it's such a great character design as well. He doesn't have to even do much for it to just look hilarious.
Yeah. And yeah, we can get into a bit more of his actual actions once we get into spoilers. But
Norbot's arc.
Definitely a connection between Norbot and the moon robot from Grand Day Out.
Yeah, there's like a through line of all Wallace Gromit movies.
and Preston, right? We were just talking about that. Yeah. So
robots gone amok, sort of.
'Cause there's not like not a bad robot in Matter of Loaf and Death, right?
No, that might be the only one.
But like the wrong trousers themselves are a bit of a
robot.
Bad tech run amok.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. There isn't really any kind of bad tech in Loaf and Death. We'll have to get into that when we do that one.
Yeah, I guess that one's a bit of an outlier then.
Yeah. Interesting. I've not really thought about it before, but yeah, it's true.
And then, do you think that this was a worthwhile return of Feathers McGraw?
Honestly, I feel like there wasn't enough feathers in it for me. I felt like he almost got a bit sidelined with having Norbot and focusing on that a lot of the time. But that's why I'm kind of conflicted, because there was plenty of him, because it was like an 80 plus minute movie. But I just felt like, I don't know, he's such a great character. I kind of just want more of him, I think. Like, we didn't really talk about him too much before we got into it, but like, it's so amazing how they could
there's so much personality.
There's nothing going on with his face or anything, but like the amount of like how sinister they could make it, and like you say, the amount of personality they could do with just like the way they shoot it and the music and the little movements. It's just like, how do you make a lump of plasticine that looks like a penguin, seems sinister, and it's like they do it so well.
But, yeah, and like he comes across as sociopathic, but then
because he's just not moving.
When he's worried, you see sweat coming off him, and like you feel his worry.
But like there's no reaction in the face.
I know, it's really quite incredible.
It's amazing how well it works.
I had a question. So like, the name Feathers McGraw from The Wrong Trousers is like on a wanted poster, right? And
right.
It seems like that's his alias when he's pretending to be a chicken.
Yeah.
But they don't. Like it seems like the fans and the police in this universe just take it at face value. This is your name.
Yeah. Yeah, because it made sense. His name was Feathers McGraw because he was pretending to be a chicken, right? Yeah. Like, do penguins have feathers? I guess they do. Sorry, my ignorance about penguins here.
I don't know. Well, that's a question for the fans.
I'm pretty sure they do, right? The little fluffy baby ones look like they do.
That's true. Yeah,
they're just like really slick feathers.
Yeah, slick back feathers. There you go.
Yeah, but why bother having a disguise if you're going to use your real name?
Yeah, like that's what I'm saying. I don't think it's his real name. I think people just call him that.
I wouldn't overthink it, to be honest. No, I did like how they tied it back to The Wrong Trousers. I mean, it's not really spoiling to say it opens with a flashback to the end of that movie, which is I thought was pretty cool. And a reintroduction of another returning character in the police chief, played by Peter Kay, which I really appreciate because I feel like they took every single like northern English colloquialism, which is like where I grew up and where I'm from. So they just like threw every single one in just in his dialogue. That's the one thing I do want to get into with this, because the thing that Wallace and Gromit do really well, or I don't know if it's well, but they do it a lot, is like it's very specifically like this is Northern England, and a lot of the jokes are very specifically this is a very British joke, or this is a very specifically Northern British joke. So it's amazing to me how like that travels, and they're
not worried about
trying to like dumb it down or make it more broad humor. It's like, no, this is very British, and I catch everything, all the little references and stuff. But it's I just find that amazing. Like there's one character when they do like the funny pun names, like the news reporter was like, what was it, on a doorstep or something?
Yeah.
But like the presenter on the screen was called Anton Deck.
Yeah, that's the one I didn't get. What is that?
But nobody would get that outside of the UK because there's a duo, like these two presenters called Ant and Deck. One's called Ant and one's called Deck. and they've just been around for like decades. They started off as like kid actors, and then they became like the go-to presenters for any like reality TV show. They've had their own show. They're like super popular in England, but no one outside of England would know who they are.
What's the names?
Ant is short for Anthony.
Okay, and
Dec, short for Declan.
Okay.
So it's Anthony and Declan, but they go by Ant and Dec. So they're a duo. We're Ant and Dec.
Yeah.
And everyone knows who Ant and Dec are. But like, it's literally call the character Ant on Dec.
Okay.
But that's what I mean. Like they did that on purpose, just so that the British fans would find that funny, but nobody else would even know what that reference is.
So what would be like, the North American equivalent of that?
It'd be like I was trying to think of that. It'd be like who like would do who'd be like the backstage presenter on like
so like a Ryan Seacrest or something like that.
That's the guy I was thinking of, like a Ryan Seacrest type guy.
So like light entertainer.
Yeah, like light entertainer. You need a presenter to come in and present your show.
So like they don't really do anything.
Not
it's
really,
like they're sort of just
but
around
they also
and they're
do
recognizable.
everything. And like they were on like.
Well, that's like Ryan Seacrest has like 10 jobs or
that's
whatever.
That's what I mean.
Right?
They're the same, right? But like they started off because they were both on like the English version of like maybe it's like a Degrassi. It was like they were like the teen actors. And they were both
well,
in
the Canadian, Degrassi's Canadian.
Yeah, but it's like the English version. Like, it wasn't English Degrassi. I was just referencing something that you might know. It was like teens drama. So they were popular on that, and then they released like a rap song back in like the 90s.
Oh gosh, that sounds so embarrassing.
Yeah, it was terrible. But like,
well, it's like, what, I say that's embarrassing, but like that's how Drake got famous, right?
He
was on Canadian TV.
But they were like more like. Your mum loves Ant, like my mum loves Ant and Dec. Like they were just like cheeky chappies, like lovely lads. Like your mum would love them, and they just inoffensive and funny.
You know what? Next time she comes down, I'm just going to mention how much I love.
Yeah, so Ant and Dec, do you see Ant and Dec? Like they present like the celebrities. We were all going to the jungle and doing like that sort of like that kind of stuff, and like X Factor and those kind of things. They're always like involved in stuff like that.
But like the dedication to just put in a joke to amuse yourself basically and like your core audience and like not worrying about trying to go broad with it.
Yeah, and it's very northern as well, which is something you don't get a lot of. Like it's very specifically like this is set in like Lancashire in the north of England, which is where I grew up. And like, everyone talks that way, and that's what I mean. That's why I love they got Peter Kane to just throw out all those colloquialisms.
One, like we've done a couple of Ridley Scott movies on this podcast too, so I guess we're well representing Northern England.
Really holding up in the English end there.
Is Aardman not also located in Northern England? Or?
No, I think they're like Bristol, which is like southwest. But no, I don't know. I think they just really like the idea of Wallace and Gromit being up north.
What did you think of the animation style of this one? Does it look different?
Yeah, I thought it was really good. You could tell with the computer graphics were in it a lot. Like anything that was like water related or like something like a few more bits, you could tell like it's been a bit augmented there. But
and I saw like on YouTube there's a few like behind the scenes stuff, which I want to watch now that I've seen the movie. But I've heard that, they have like a bit of a process now to clean up the images. So like
take the thumbprints off it.
Exactly. So stuff like that, like which I guess could be a little controversial, but I liked the way that this looked. It didn't bother me.
You know what? It doesn't bother me, but I can't not notice it now. I was reading an article about Aardman, and if you see the eyes, they always have a hole right in the center of the eye pupil. Right. And like you don't even really notice it unless you're looking for it. But it's
Is that to move it around?
Yeah, they move it with a pin. So they put a pin in the center so they can move it so they don't have to try and get the fingers in there.
Okay.
But I mean, that's something that they could probably easily not have to worry about anymore.
Did you notice it in this one?
Yeah, I noticed it so much. Like,
okay,
that's what I mean.
I had no idea.
Ever since I read it, I'd never noticed it before, but ever since I've read it, now I can't not see it. It's like one of those things where you don't notice it until someone mentions it, and then it's like you never see it the same again.
Well, from our episode on Coraline, right? We saw the behind the scenes stuff that they played after the movie, and how like they were able to just like pop the characters' faces off and then put put new faces on to quickly change expressions and stuff like that. And then they cleaned up kind of the edges around the face is where they just popped off part of the face. So I wonder why they don't clean that part up. Like maybe it's just part of the brand now. And honestly, it's something I've never noticed before.
Yeah, I think honestly as well. I think with like when you do working with like stop animation, I think that people just have, or companies have their own like way of doing things, and it's like this is the way we do it. Because I know like Aardman even have like they have a very specific like plasticine clay that they use, and they don't use any other.
Well, yeah. Now that they have like their kind of set house style, right?
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I was going to say some of the shorts we watched for this week, definitely like a lot of different stuff kind of going on.
That's fair, yeah. Yeah, very true.
I'd love to know like some of the background for some of those shorts. Like, is it just they were like producing them and like not really done in house, or like they kind of just gave people the freedom to do whatever?
I think it's because the one guy who did, I think he did Pip and Pop, and I think he might have done the handbag one, but like it was one of the animators on like a couple of the movies. So I think it's just like, hey, you want to like give like the building people up, right? Like
well, it's the same as like the Pixar model, right? It's like
you bring people up and give them more stuff to do. Let them go out and show what they're made of, sort of creatively, and say what are you going to put together? It's like, oh, here's a creepy animation.
Well, that's how you get a Nick Park, right? Like
I guess he can't do it all by himself,
grow
right? Yeah, you just got to keep throwing stuff and see what sticks, I suppose.
Yeah. So, want to head into spoilers? We can get into some more of the finer details.
Sure. Yeah, we can go into the plot a bit more. Is there anything we haven't? So, we talked about new characters. What do you think about the new police lady character in this one?
I'm sure, like everyone on the internet's very chill about.
I have no idea, to be honest.
I've heard some stuff already.
Oh, really?
Like some people are saying, like, "Oh, Wallace Gromit's so woke now that there is like a woman of color exists, basically makes something woke."
Well, I was because a part of me was a bit like, do we even need that character? But then I was like, you kind of do. Like, I don't think you could have you couldn't have just had one police officer character. You kind of needed two of them.
Yeah, well, it gets into your point about, Wallace and Gromit as a feature-length thing. If this wasn't feature-length, you probably would lose the whole police side of the story,
or still have a police person chase them, but you don't need like the majority of that stuff you could just jettison, really. Even though I did like a lot of the gags.
I did think that their like dynamic was pretty interesting.
Yeah, it was. That's
like, he was getting a lot. He was getting a lot of screen time.
That's what I mean. He got so much screen time, and I think that might be a bit of. Peter Kay is also super popular in the UK. He was a stand-up comedian, but he's like done so many TV shows, and like he's another one that like your mom would love, because he's like inoffensive, but like also really likable and funny. So he's involved in everything. So it's like it might have been a bit like, people liked it. He was in whichever one he was in, Were Rabbit, and they were like, we'll bring him back, and it's like, we'll put more Peter Kay in the movie. People are like that.
Well, I've been looking at the charts for how this is doing, and it's like doing gangbusters in the UK, doubt. Like very, UK, very popular.
Yeah, I've not spoke to my mum or anyone back home, but she's coming to visit next week, so I'll see what her opinion is on the whole Wallace and Gromit.
Well, if I see her, I'll make sure to drop like Ant and Dec.
Do it. You see Ant and Dec? They actually had a cameo in Love Actually.
Okay.
You a Love Actually fan?
Well, I've seen the movie like 20 times.
Oh, really? Well, you know the scene where Bill Nye is being interviewed and he announces that he's going to do his thing? Yeah. Well, that's Ant and Dec who interview him, and he does a gag where he calls him Ant or Dec. He's like, "That's right, Ant or Dec," because he doesn't know which one it is.
The guy with glasses? Is that the?
No, I don't know do wearing glasses in that one. It's just too.
Oh, so it's not the radio show. It's the talk show
the one where he's out, where he's like outside. I believe. I can't remember. I've not seen it. I didn't watch it this year for Christmas, but I just remember that they're like interviewing him with a microphone, and he's like, "That's right, Ant or Dec." I think it's when they're on TV.
Okay. Yeah, like
the next time you watch Love Actually, you'll be like, "It's Ant on Dec."
Okay. I've been taking a bit of a break from it because we just had watched it too many.
Yeah, I didn't watch it. It's
Christmases
usually
in a
part of
row.
my Christmas rotation, but I didn't watch it this year.
My wife really really likes it.
Oh yeah.
And then I think it's fine. Like I like some of the stories, like the Bill
Yeah,
Nye
some of
one.
them are
I
just
do think
like,
is a great storyline.
I think the more you watch it as well, the more creepy it is. It was only this year that I found out that Keira Knightley was 17
Yeah,
when they made that movie, which I did not know, and that just like already creepy storyline just makes it so much worse.
Yeah, that's why it's so crazy that she has been around for so long.
Right.
And that's why, because she was
so young when she started.
and she was like 19 or whatever when she's in the pirate
Pirates
movies.
yeah, and that was like the peak of her career almost at that point. But she's still making stuff though.
Yeah, maybe next year I'll watch Love Actually.
Yeah.
I'll get back to it.
Look
I
out.
hate that whole storyline though. It
Yeah,
sucks.
there's a few storylines where you just like, can we just skip this?
I like the Hugh Grant storyline.
You're right. Yeah, I do.
I like the Alan Rickman one.
Oh yeah, even though it's like horribly depressing what he does.
Yeah, I think it's good though. I think I think that one does not have a resolution though.
No.
Which is interesting. It's just they're just awkwardly gonna stay together.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
We were talking about Love
I
Actually.
know we got
now.
on a bit of a, anyway, next time you want to look at Love Actually, look out front and deck, and you'll know who they are.
Well, we were gonna go into spoilers quickly.
Yes, yeah. So should we do that?
If spoilers bother you, you can drop off, but make sure to loop back in when you see the rest of the movie. Next week we're talking Chicken Run.
Oh yes.
And then heading into our double feature on The Fly and the Thing.
Oh, that's going to be a good episode.
Yeah.
Tune in for that one, guys. Two amazing movies. Well, 3 amazing movies, let's say.
3 amazing movies. So this is kind of like the end of shorts running Aardman, right? They really just.
I mean, they still do them, but I don't think we're gonna still dig into them as much, right? Because they branched out a bit more.
I'd still think we're gonna watch all the shorts, but the features are gonna be the main feature of the episodes.
Yeah, for sure.
Right, because that's the moneymaker at Aardman now, right? Is that because they make this deal with DreamWorks, which kind of works out, but then sort of fizzles out a little bit. But then they keep kind of focusing most of their resources on doing the features, a lot of which I still haven't seen.
Yeah, there's a few that I haven't seen actually.
I have not seen Flushed Away. I haven't seen Pirates.
Oh, I was just gonna say you've not seen Pirates.
I'm super excited for it though.
I'm excited now that I know you've not seen it because I've
seen clips from it.
I love that
It's
movie.
awesome.
It's so good.
I haven't seen Early Man.
I haven't seen Early Man.
Probably most of them I haven't seen.
I think I've seen most.
I've seen the Shaun the Sheep.
I know I haven't seen
ones.
Early Man. That might be the only one really of their features I haven't seen.
Well, you know what? I think I haven't seen the first Shaun the Sheep movie. I've seen Farmageddon.
Yeah, I think I did
Christmas.
watch the first one. I just don't remember it much. And I didn't even know there was a Christmas one. I've not seen that.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very entertaining. I just saw it this past Christmas.
Yeah, I wonder when that came out.
I think it was
2023 or something?
2017 or something like that.
That old? Wow. Okay.
Maybe 2021. I don't know.
I have no idea. I didn't even know it existed. So Shaun the Sheep still kind of passed me by. I wasn't really a big fan of Shaun the Sheep. It was more kid friendly when they were doing the TV shows and stuff. But then I heard Farmageddon was so good, so I did watch that.
Farmageddon is great. Well, and the fact that there's no dialogue in the Shaun the Sheep ones that lets it travel a bit better.
Exactly. Yeah, I do like that.
You gotta be more clever in how you get your Northern Englandisms in there.
Right.
Anyways, let's go into spoiler talk here.
Let's do it. All right, guys, you've been warned.
So, the fucking Norba jokes.
The Norba was so funny.
Him charging overnight. I was having trouble breathing. I thought
that was so funny.
And it went on for so long too.
It's just nearly
1%.
Wallace Gromit's room, just right by him. It's just so funny. It's just the most annoying thing in the world. But that's the thing. There's stuff like that was so funny. But then I feel like they tried to bring it back a couple of times later on, and it's just you don't need to bring that back again.
Yeah, I see. The best stuff was more so front loaded. Him him doing the first like gardening thing, I thought was like so, because he's just so menacing and intense, even when he's being
Right?
helpful.
It's just like so creepy. He just looks so creepy. It's like, you know, he's going to turn evil. It's like, yep, the creep. It's like a creepy puppet marionette thing that's going to go evil. And it worked. But I wanted to get your opinion, because how did you feel about now there's a ton of them? Because I was a bit like, I don't know if you need an army of Norbots. I think it's just sort of distilling it too much. Like
I agree. There were some good gags.
There was. That's what I mean.
Like,
it's hard, right?
them just like launching over hedges on their scooters was really funny. Them like doing like
I think one of them shouted "sick" or something when they were doing
sick. Them doing like the Flintstone car thing.
Yeah, that was
so funny.
That was funny.
And like just animating all those feet moving around in the car was
like the Flintstones car I think was amazing, but the rest of it I was a bit like, you could have just done that with just one Norbert. You could have done all those gags with just him. Like if he went out by himself on a scooter doing sick flips and stuff, it would have been just as funny, right?
No, I definitely agree with that.
But like I did like when they all lined up to salute, but this was very funny.
So we were kind of chatting when the movie was playing, and how Wallace was doing his same old thing of just like
it's the exact same thing every time. He's just such a jerk.
Overlooking Gromit for like what's new and exciting in his life.
Oh,
it's
man.
Like Norbot puts Wallace and Norbot on the side of the van.
When he was like, I need your help, and he gets up to help, it's like, no, not you.
Not you.
Oh man, that was heartbroken for
you.
him. There's so many things where your heart breaks for Gromit. Like when he goes, he's like, oh, someone needs a pat, and he goes and reaches and presses the button. His face, he's just so devastated.
I will say though, like this movie, I think leaned more in like the sentimentality than we've ever seen before. Like, cause he
definitely did.
He tells Gromit how much he means to him.
Yeah, at the end, it's like
you're my best friend, and like he actually
can't
pats
live
him.
without you. Yeah, it's crazy.
So I don't know, like it was kind of getting to me there.
That's what I mean. They just know how to do it, right? It's like, yes, at the beginning he's gonna take Gromit for granted and be kind of a dick, but then by the end they're gonna come back together, and everyone's gonna be great.
But I feel like this is the first time that like Wallace has ever admitted that he was like wrong about something.
True enough. He usually just like cluelessly like, oh, everything turned out great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do agree. This was the first one where he was like, "Oh,
it's like I didn't treat you proper."
Yeah, he seemed like he was actually worried about Gromit, which is nice. Yeah, but I don't know. I do feel like you could have just made this if you made this the same length as The Wrong Trousers and just jettisoned a lot of the stuff that like wasn't a cream of the crop stuff. Like there was no like bad scenes that just felt like boring, but. I don't know. You could have just got rid of a lot of it, I think.
Well, but that's the thing with stop motion animation, though. Like you can't really cut stuff out because it takes so long to do.
No, that's what I mean. But I mean, like when you're writing it, right? Like,
yeah,
you could have looked at that script and be like, we don't need these. We don't even really need these police characters. We can get rid of those. We don't need an army of Norbots. We've got one. That's fine.
So, do you know, was this always being built out as a Netflix partnership?
I don't know, because I noticed it was partnered with BBC, so I'm guessing BBC.
Oh yeah, and
funded it, and then Netflix probably just bought it up.
I saw there was a Warner Brothers credit too at the end, so I don't know if there's some distribution deal there as well.
Yeah, I'm not sure like who helped produce, but maybe we should do some research next time.
Well, this show is all about immediate reactions, right? Like,
it
gives us a little bit of an excuse on the research side.
So here's a question for you. Do you think this is the end of Wallace and Gromit? Do you think they'll do more, or do you think this is a... I guess quite a better question, would this work as a swan song for Wallace and Gromit?
Well, I think it would work as a swan song, just from what I mentioned before, and how like there seems to be like a little bit of character growth, though like not too much, because you don't want him to grow too much.
No.
Their relationship at the end of this seems better than it's ever been.
Right.
They seem to have found some kind of balance.
Mm-hmm.
The ongoing themes of like, of technology seems to have kind of reached a resolution that like, the tech itself is not bad. It's how it's being used.
Right,
and
right.
There seems to be a bit of a harmony there. So
There's no bad tech, just bad people.
yeah, I think so. And
Although to that point, sorry to interrupt you, but why would he create a robot that has an evil setting?
it's so funny because that's like all he's like, I pre-programmed this for you, Gromit, or whatever, and then he picked like 8 different settings, like the lowest of which is evil.
Like, why even put that in there? It's not like Feathers hacked it in and like put new code in it to make it evil. He just changed the setting to an already installed evil setting.
I feel like if you asked Wallace about that, he would say like, oh, seemed like a good idea at the time.
Right? It's like, that's what you do with robots.
It's like, yeah, you put an evil setting so you don't set it to evil.
You know what scene really did work for me was Feathers remotely hacking in with the extendo glove.
Oh, yeah.
That was such a fun scene.
And like he moves the finger to stop the guard from sneezing.
And like figures out that his password is cheese.
Oh gosh, yeah. Well, we called that as it was happening.
When he
right?
hacked in, it was
There's
like,
no special characters either. It's
look,
just
when it hacked in, it was like the 8-bit Wallace going, "Welcome to my tools." And
you hacked into my super secret.
and it was playing the Wallace Gromit theme tune in the 8-bit music. Oh, that was so fun.
They do use the theme pretty cleverly.
Yeah, yes. I love that they have kept that. That's never gone away.
But no, I don't think this is the end of Wallace and Gromit. Like
I hope not.
Nick Park is just in his 60s now, right?
Right.
Like he's probably good to go for a
They
couple more.
got a new Wallace actor.
Yeah, exactly.
Working real well. I did like the little gag about it. It's like, it's voice activated, give it a go, and he just Gromit just breaks the fourth wall and gives a look to the camera.
It's like, oh, okay, I'll do it for you.
I did want to mention though, there was a noise that came out of Gromit in this movie, I noticed, and I don't remember ever hearing him make any sort of sound. He was just like a when he like fell down. But I was like, oh, is that? I think that's the first time I've heard a Gromit make a noise.
Yeah, this movie's just breaking ground.
Right. Wonder if they'd ever try and just have him talk. Like I remember when they did that in Tom and Jerry, they made him talk for a movie, and it was so odd, so weird.
There'd be riots in the street.
Right, wouldn't they?
It's like how to instantly ruin a character.
Yeah, I could imagine. I could see them doing it though. It's like his new invention is like the helmet from Up, where you put it on a dog and make him talk.
Man. I don't like Up. I think we talked about this before.
I don't know if we have. I didn't realize that. I like
the opening of Up, which everybody does.
The first act of Up is probably one of the best. The first acts of any movie, but I don't like the way the third act goes at all.
The third act with the villain is just like nothing.
Compared to the rest of the movie, it's just like this is weak, man.
Well, that came out the same year as Coraline, and that won the best animated over Coraline.
That sucks.
That's
why you hate it.
Like that. It puts a bad taste in my mouth.
It's just that sequence though. What's the name of that sequence? I can't remember what they call that sequence, but with him and his wife doing their whole life together.
Yeah,
like that.
It's devastating.
That won the award. That was
that's all everyone had to watch.
They could have just put that up and jettisoned the rest of the movie, and it would have won.
Yeah. Well, and then I guess this movie will have some tight competition because you got Wild Robot this year, which is also very good animated.
Yeah, very true. We're in a bit of peak for animation these days. I'm really into it.
Lots of different styles,
right? Yeah,
and like I'm always gonna kind of go out there and champion stop motion, but I do like some of the new directions of CG animation. Wild Robot's kind of a similar-ish style to like the Spider-Verse movies, although it's still distinct. But those are kind of pushing it into new styles that we haven't really seen before.
Yeah, I like that we've got because there was a long time where it was like you have your Pixar style of animation and then you have the DreamWorks style, which is slightly different. But they're the two sort of base, and people do variations of those. And now it's like, no, man, people do whatever they want to do and do crazy stuff that works more than it doesn't. I would say. I'm a big fan of animation right now. Even on TV, there's a lot of good stuff on TV.
Well, you were listening to all these shows I never even heard of, so there we go. I should check them out
Which
more.
ones?
Cuphead. I never heard of Cuphead before.
Cuphead's amazing. I forgot we were talking about Cuphead.
I feel like I'm an old man. I'm not switched into these things. My brother-in-law loves Arcane.
Yes,
Do you watch it?
I love the art style in Arcane. I really loved. When I was actually going to mention it. That's why I mentioned TV, because I just finished Arcane like the past couple of days. The first season I really loved. The second season goes a bit too crazy for me, like story wise. It did way too much, way too fast, and I think it was just trying to get into all the video game lore stuff. It lost me, but
I haven't seen this.
Still beautiful though.
I haven't seen the second season yet. Like when the first season came out, my brother-in-law came over and like my wife and he and I, we binge watched it. Like we watched all like, it's like 7 hours or whatever.
Yeah,
right?
I watched.
So we like stayed up all night. So we're gonna do that again this year.
Oh yeah, for the second season.
Yeah, so it's like this Saturday's coming over for his
Yeah,
birthday.
I'm not like a League of Legends guy. I've never played the game. I don't know anything about it because
You don't have to be to enjoy the
but
first
like
season.
I was looking at the reviews of Arcane, and like every episode is like wildly high ratings. Like this is the best thing ever made. And I was watching season 2, and I was like, this is not the best thing ever made. Like it's beautiful, and it does a real good job. But I'm like, some of the storylines, I'm like, this might make sense if you're in the game, but like it just goes.
Did you hear what it cost to make?
Your opinion? No, is it a lot?
It's like $200 million.
Wow, that's crazy.
And they're like, well, this is what it costs to make a video game, so like it's not that crazy for us.
I mean, I guess, but geez, because there's not that many episodes. I guess they are fairly long though. But man, yeah, that's crazy.
But it's like it's such beautiful animation.
That's why it's so good, right? Some of the sequences in that show and the animation, it's so well done.
Yeah. You watch Hilda too, right?
Hilda, yeah, my kids love Hilda.
That's a great show.
It's so out there, man. It's insane. But yeah, they love it. And what's the other one that's a similar art style to Hilda? I can't remember what it is now. But yeah, these kid shows. Did you see? Oh, I can't remember the name of that movie now. We're getting a bit off topic, but what was the one from a couple of years ago that was up for awards that had like it was like knights and dragons, but it was like in the future. So like they had knights, but also like flying cars and stuff. Oh, what was that called?
Is that the Matt Groening show?
No, it was a movie.
Was it?
Oh, what was it called? It had like, I think it was like Dev Patel and. No, I'm gonna.
It's Knights and Dragons in the future. Okay.
Yeah, well, it's not really dragons, but it's like the police are all like knights in shining armor.
Oh no! This one might have passed me by. I don't know what this one.
Yeah. Anyway, I'll figure out what that is.
Well, you asked the question like, would this be the good swan song? Did you answer that one?
I don't think so. No, I think I asked you. So, I think it probably. I feel like every one of them, you could say we're done now. But like I said, I don't want them to do that.
This one did feel like it was kind of just like summing up, things they'd done in the past. Like it was very self-referential.
Yeah.
Like looking back at everything they've done.
Nimona. That was the one I was trying to talk about.
Oh, you know what?
Did you ever see Nimona?
My daughter watched that a few weeks ago, and she's been trying to get me to watch it, but I haven't seen it yet.
It's real good. It's real good.
Okay.
And it was, I can't remember which animation studio, they were like 80% done, and then they went bankrupt, and like, I think it was Netflix swooped in and was like, we'll just buy it up and finish it. And then it ended up being like Oscar nominated. Okay. But no, it's real, and the animation in that is really good. But similar styles to that kind of stuff we were talking about.
Well, that's why I kind of just respect the hell out of animators because they all just seem to love what they do.
Yeah,
they're not really business first people, right?
Yeah. Well, my concern with that though is that they seem to get hammered a lot, like with this, like when you read about all the stuff that went on with Spider-Verse. That's why.
Well, I think that's
I mean, that might just be
in how they treat their employees and stuff.
Because that's why they've they haven't even given a release date for that movie now because they've just like, we're not giving a date because I feel like that's what was happening. Like because that's what they do in Hollywood, right? They're like, this is going to be out March 2024. And then they're like, the animator's like, in order to do this, we have to work 11 hours a day
for a year, so much
for
bad
2
press
years
on
straight.
that.
It's like, it's not going to work. So hopefully it's shifted now to more like, you just do what you need to do. And if it takes 5 years to get this movie made, then that's fine. As long as it works out. Well, and the main voice actor doesn't get cancelled.
I was watching the one Ghibli documentary. It's like the Kingdom of Dreams and Madness or something like that.
Yeah.
It shows like behind the scenes of them making The Wind Rises. So this is like 10 years ago now.
Right.
But that's all hand drawn animation stuff, which like, you know, like they're like the one major studio that still does hand drawn animation.
Yeah.
And it just shows like how long people have to work there. And it's just insane how people dedicate their lives to doing it. And like, you're right, there is a darker side to that, and that it's like, it can like verge on being exploitative of those people. But like, you know, it's still like, you can see the passion in animated movies.
Yeah,
like in
definitely.
Everyone there is doing the thing that they love to do.
I think it's one of those things, we might have talked about this before, where you'd have to like love it, right? You'd have to be so invested, because can you imagine like putting that much effort into something and spending years creating something, and at the end being like, that's not how we wanted it to turn out. Like, oh man, like no one sets out to make a bad movie or anything, but man, that's so much work. It's so much work.
I guess it would be devastating.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's not like you can look at the rushes and be like, we need to do some reshoots on this. It's like, oh man, we spent 5 years making this sequence and it's not working.
I've been listening to the Severance podcast.
Oh yeah.
Which, if you like the show, I
haven't watched it.
You haven't watched the show?
No, it's on my list. So like, I really need to watch it.
You'd love it. Like,
I know I would.
Right up your alley. You know what?
Just...
Your wife would love it too.
I want to watch it with my wife, but we struggled to get through shows. We were like 2 episodes into Squid Game, and it's taken us 3 weeks to get that far.
Like this one, like it's not like so sci-fi. Like the sci-fi is just like the basic concept of the show. It's really about like the human relationships and that too. But,
well, it's definitely on the list, but I've got so much on my list.
But the writer and creator of it, like he was doing like, you know, Postmates and like Uber Eats delivery.
Right.
When he got like the break and like he sold the script, and like they're working 5 years on season 1, and they've worked 5 years on season 2. So he just has 1 credit to his name, but it's been 10 years of his life.
Wow, isn't
and
that crazy?
That's like we were talking about with the Aardman stuff too. Like a lot of these people have work for years on these movies, and then their IMDb page is like one or 2 movies.
That's got to be like terrifying, right? Like.
It's like if you ever like,
well, if it tanks, like we've not made any money off this movie. Oh well, that's only 7 years of your life.
Well, and like you don't really have a lot of leverage either, because like you like I'm skilled at stop motion animation.
Right.
All right, where do you go? Yeah. Like Aardman's the one that's doing it. You could go to Aardman, or you can see if Leica is hiring in the States, or see if Wes Anderson feels like doing another stop motion movie. That's basically it.
Yeah, it's pretty niche, isn't it? I suppose. Yeah, I don't think there's a lot of call for stop animation.
Yeah, it's Leica, who I also love them as a studio, and Aardman, right? Like unless we're missing something, but like that's basically it. Like it's.
Yeah, I hope it doesn't ever like go away though.
It could very easily go away.
Very easily, and you'd understand why. It's like, this is not sustainable anymore. Like to do this.
Yeah. So you know what? Like that's a great call. Like we just gotta love these Wallace and Gromit stuff when we get them.
Yeah, everyone watch it more than once. Get it. Let Netflix know it's worth them investing in Aardman.
Yeah. We should probably call it quits here then soon. Eh? We're
getting
on past midnight.
We've been waffling on about Wallace and Gromit for a good while. We even started talking about Severance there for a bit.
Well, you should definitely, if you haven't done so already, follow this podcast. Mm-hmm. Give us 5 stars.
We need to give our review. We need to go back to our rating system.
Give us 6.5 stars.
Yeah, we got called out for not using our rating system anymore.
All right, how? What'd you give this one? I'd say this is a solid like 5.75 out of 6.5.
5.75.
Yeah.
Like, what?
So on this podcast, we do a rating scale of 6.5. It's self-explanatory.
Yeah, it's different and makes things more interesting. But yeah, I can't argue with that. I was going to say 5 or 6, pushing up to a 6. But yeah, I feel like you could have made this a short movie and I would have given it a 7. A 7? That doesn't exist.
You could do whatever you want. It's your podcast.
6.45.
Yeah, and as we've said before, like we're going through all of Aardman right now, so
Yes.
definitely watch along with us. We're doing Chicken Run, then going into doing all the features. After Chicken Run, we'll be talking about
More
Were
Wallace,
Rabbit,
more
and then
Wallace and Gromit stuff.
we'll have like the full schedule up linked into this podcast episode, and for all the shorts, we're creating these YouTube playlists that you can watch along with the shorts. And yeah, thanks for watching along with us, guys.
Yeah, if you're not a fan of Aardman, you're probably not tuning into this episode.
Maybe, I don't know.
Well, maybe we've swayed you, and you're still with us.
Maybe some people just like hearing our voices. That's fine too.
Yeah, well, there you go. I'm available for hire. All right.
All right. Anything else, Pete?
No, I think that's it for this week. Thanks for joining us, guys. I'm really looking forward to a bit of The Thing and The Fly next week. So
yeah, well, 2 of my favorite movies of all time. It's gonna be insane.
Trevor's going to be very excited.
We'll have lots to talk about there. I won't go into it now.
Bumper episode, no doubt. All right, guys. Well, until next time, that's the final word.